Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news now here on the United Stand. And I tell you what, I'm probably going to need a lot of your help today because we've actually got an avalanche of news. There is so much. I've got more browsers open than a money launderer. It's absolutely madness this morning around Manchester United. We've got INEOS frustration around Mbeumo, but we'll park that for now. We've got an update on Anthony. We've got an update on Diego Leon, and he's heading out on loan apparently, which I think will shock a lot of you lot as well. There's another development around Gyökeres, Osimhen as well, Sancho as well. Why Man United don't buy in early July if we've got time. But we're going to start off with a breaking news story that could be inadvertently lucky for Manchester United again. I think there's a real element of luck going on with Man United this summer. The positive news stories seem to be luck because Elanga to Newcastle, we've got nothing to do with that. Elanga could have been staying at Forest for the rest of his career. He's going to Newcastle. We're going to earn a bit of money out of it. Same with Alvaro Fernandez going to Real Madrid. He might not have gone to Real Madrid and we wouldn't make any money. And here we are again. Nico Williams is going to Barcelona. No, he's not. No, he's not. Breaking news in the last few minutes. Nico Williams has now gone and signed a new contract at Athletic Bilbao and will not be signing for Barcelona due to registration issues, which means that their top two targets of Nico Williams and Luis Diaz are at Liverpool and off the table for Barcelona, but they need a winger. So Rashford suddenly becomes very lucky and Man United potentially become very lucky. So this could be really positive for everybody again. There's a massive element of luck. It's got nothing to do with our negotiation team. As I said, very lucky about Elanga, very lucky about Alvaro Fernandez, and potentially very lucky again. So, look, we'll take it. We will take any positivity. People say it's negative. This is positive. We know Marcus Rashford is on the list for Barcelona. We know he was behind Nico Williams. We understand he was behind Diaz as well. But Diaz isn't leaving Liverpool. They said no to Bayern Munich a few days ago. Nico Williams has basically said no today. So Rashford's got to be right in the equation now. He was in the equation anyway because obviously Barcelona like Rashford and there was talk of loan deals, etc. But they were going to do that Nico Williams deal now. They were going to do the Diaz deal now. Does this mean they're going to do the Rashford deal now? I hope so, because this could be an outcome that suits all parties. I still firmly believe that Marcus Rashford in a Barcelona shirt would score goals because they're flat track bullies in that league. I think he'd score goals for Bayern Munich as well. I also think that it would be a good move for Barca. He would be a dream move for him, and Man United would remove Marcus Rashford. So I think this could be positive. I'm not going to get too excited, but the doors seem to be opening to Rashford to Barcelona more this morning. That is breaking news. This is not speculation. This is coming in from Fabrizio Romano that Nico Williams has just signed a new long-term contract at Athletic Club until June 2035. The agreement includes new release clause for anyway, look, it's done. It's done in relation to that. So there we go. Shaz says, good morning, Mark. Hypothetically speaking, if we don't get any other players after Mbeumo, do you have any hopes that Amorim can improve this squad to a mid-table finish, or is he a dead man walking? A little bit too many if, buts and maybes there. And also, Warren makes a good point. How can they register Rashford then if they have a wage problem? I mean, yeah, look, I agree. But they do want a player, and Marcus Rashford could be that player. So let's wait and see what happens with that. Talking about Mbeumo, there is a bit of an update to give you. This is probably very interesting. There's something coming in about Douglas Luiz and Sancho, which I'll leave till a little bit later. But effectively, what we've got this morning around Mbeumo is a bit of analysis, to be honest with you, but also a bit of hope, hopefully. So where we are is that, I'm just trying to find the actual story so I quote it to you. So this is coming in from the London Evening Standard. Obviously Brentford are a London-based club. And making myself get angry here now through pure incompetence. Here we go. So Brentford are refusing to lower their asking price of at least £63 million for Cameroon international Brian Mbeumo. And if a deal for the 25-year-old cannot be agreed with Manchester United, they expect the forward to report for pre-season training on Monday. Now, there is less relaxation and more frustration going on around Manchester United at the moment. I think they acknowledge, like everybody else, that things aren't going very, very well. Interestingly, a few of you observed yesterday that today is July the 4th, the 4th of July, which is a big day for our American community. So happy 4th of July weekend for you out there in the United States or wherever you are celebrating that, of course. Our owners are American. Some people have said, is there any evidence that the 4th of July weekend slows Manchester United down from doing transfers? So I did a little bit of research because I had a little bit of time this morning, and we have only officially signed one player between the 4th of July and the 7th of July before, and that was Malacia. The vast majority of signings that we make are after the 11th of July. Yes, we've bought Cunha. Yes, we bought Dan James. Yes, we bought Lindelof. I'm not saying that we haven't bought players in June, but the vast majority of Manchester United signings happen officially after the 11th of July. So I'm just looking back here. Paul Pogba, early August. That was in 2016-17. Lukaku was after the 10th of July. Matic, 31st of July. So I'm just going through seasons here. So that was 2017-18. 2018-19 season. Dan James was June. I can't remember who else we bought that season, actually. But there's Dan James. I've just got a selection of ones here. Harry Maguire, 5th of August. Bruno Fernandes right at the end of the January transfer window there as well. Donny van der Beek, 2nd of September. I think that was COVID year, so I'm not going to count that one because that was a weird transfer window, wasn't it? We won't do that. Jadon Sancho, 23rd of July. Rafael Varane, 14th of July. 14th of August. Ronaldo, 27th of August. So again, all post the 10th of July. What else have we got? 22-23 season. Malacia was the 5th of July. Ericsson, 15th of July. Martinez, 17th of July. Casemiro, 20th of August. Anthony, 1st of September. 23-24. Mason Mount, 5th of July. Officially. Oh, that makes 2 then, to be fair. Johnny Evans was a free on the 18th of July. Anana, 20th of July. Rasmus, 5th of August as well. And then you've got Xerxes, officially 14th of July. De Ligt, 13th of August. Mazraoui, 13th of August. Agate, 30th of August. So the vast majority of our transfers happen over the last 12 years after the 11th of July. How did the last 12 years go? Let me know in the chat. Does our transfer policy work? Yeah. So we may as well skip to Monday. You could get a here we go. But I don't think anything's going to happen till next week now. And I think it's that last couple of minutes might be really boring to some people, but it's actually really useful to me because we moan. We're negative. But actually sometimes you have to do a bit of research. And the harsh reality is that over the last 12 years, and probably before, I haven't gone earlier than that, but over the last 12 years, the vast majority of our transfers happen after pre-season, after the 10th of July. And that is shocking. And it has a direct correlation with why we're shit in the league, in my opinion. And I'm just going to explain it to you. Money. And we move on. It's as simple as that. It's money. We don't want to buy players early because then you've got to pay players early. We don't want to buy players early because we haven't sold the players we need to sell. It's just money. There's a direct correlation between getting your business done early and having a good season. There's also a direct correlation between getting your business done late and saving money. Which one do you think we choose consistently? It's just saving money. It's crap negotiations, but it's... I was thinking about this last night after the show. When you talk about negotiations and you think about the Mbeumo deal and you think about the Garnacho deal and you think about everything else, it's crap negotiations, it's incompetent, but also you can be as quick at negotiating as you want to be. You can put a bid in, you can go back the next day, you can go back the next day. United don't. United take weeks and weeks. Why do we want to be slow at negotiations? It's not actually incompetence. It isn't. It is, we think it's incompetence, but it's not actually incompetence. It's strategy. Every day, every week, you drag it out. You save money. It's as simple as that. We could get a here we go, and they wheel him out in an American flag playing the piano, says Nick P. Jack says, Nico rejecting Barcelona must mean Rashford to Barcelona is on. What's a good deal for you, Mark, for Rashford? Any players you take, don't say Lamal, says Jack. I still think that Barcelona will get him on loan. I don't think we'll end up selling him. If we can get a sale, then that would be great. But I still think it will be a loan deal because I don't think Barcelona will want to pay for Rashford. I think they'll want to pay for Nico Williams and they couldn't. And I think they'd want to pay for Diaz and they couldn't. But I don't think they'll pay for Rashford. But I'd like to think that this could be a catalyst for this deal to start moving. Certainly, Christian. Lee says, classic Goldbridge at his best. That's why I love this community at work, enjoying the show on my earphones. Have a good day, Lee. I hope you're doing well. Morning, Mark. I personally think we should put the Mbeumo deal on pause because of how long it's taking to get this far without an agreement and go bid 75 million for Gyökeres, then revisit, says X Siska. I've got an update on Gyökeres. I'll give you that update in a moment. Williams didn't want to be Rashford's backup, says Robert McCormack. You need to go back to bed, Robert, because I bet you'll be up at 2 o'clock to watch that shitty Club World Cup. I've already seen you on Twitter. I can't wait for Palmeiras against Chelsea at 2 a.m. You know where I'll be? Fast asleep. Why do you think our negotiations are so slow? I think we've just answered that, Manton. Newcastle really fast with Elanga, says Rajaf. Yeah, well, it's in their interests, isn't it? They want to have a good season. Good morning, Mark. Done that one from Shazwit as well. There was another point here that I wanted to talk about. I personally think we should put the Mbeumo deal on pause because of how long it's taking. I think with Mbeumo, I mean, I'm happy to talk about Mbeumo when we get a Here We Go, and I'm happy to give the updates, of course, but I have got no interest. You know what? I've got no interest. Ruben Amorim is on his way back to Manchester. He's been photographed at the airport. He's on his way back to Manchester. Pre-season starts now. What do you think he's thinking? What do you think Amorim is thinking? Like, he's walking in with the same squad that he left, plus Cunha. That's it. He's got the same goalkeeper he doesn't want. He's got no striker in that he absolutely needs. He's got no midfielder in. All right, you've kept Bruno. Well, that's quite a divisive. You know, that didn't please the fan base, mate. That was 50-50. So you've kept Bruno and you bought Cunha, and that's it. It's not really that great, is it? But in relation to Mbeumo, I want us to make this signing. I believe we will make this signing. But I'm like you on this one. I can't even be asked to message people or find stuff out. I don't want to know. There are certain things where it's like, what's going on? What's going on? I don't want to know. I don't want to put anything out there at the moment. I don't want to go, I've told you this, I've heard that. I don't want any part of it. It was all right when it was Delap. It was all right when it's not Semenyo. It was all right when Garnacho's for sale. But right here, right now, I don't actually want any info. And I'm not going to go chasing any info because I don't want to put it out there. I've seen people do it for the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that. We've had people saying it was deal done last week. You know, it's a week later. It wasn't deal done. We've had people saying we're going to get a Here We Go on Wednesday. We didn't. I just don't care. I do care, but I don't want to predict. I don't want to do that. I just want to be a fan as part of this great community and comment on that. I don't want any in on that. And I don't have one. And I don't think Romano's got one. And I don't think Ornstein's got one. Because I don't think anybody's got a bloody clue what's going on with United at the moment. And I actually think Sir Jim Radcliffe is furious. I really do. As much as I don't think he's done a very good job, I think he's absolutely furious. I think he's bound by the Glazers. I think he's appointed people who can't make any impact. And I think he realises that this vanity project that had so many open goals, they've missed. I think whoever took over Man United, whether it's Qatar or Sir Jim with the Glazers, I think there was so many open goals. The first 2 years should have been a honeymoon period. There were so many things that were obvious to do that the Glazers weren't doing. And they've missed them all. Timo Werner FC. Like, we've missed so many open goals. And I think Sir Jim is probably sat there at the moment going, at the end of the day, I've messed up. You know, I'm going to lose my job. But I can't because I'm a shareholder. But at the end of the day, we're not doing very well. And I think he will be frustrated. But that doesn't change our frustration. He's the guy with something that can done. But they've messed up. I think they want to make. I think they want to save money. I think they want to be cheapskates, as somebody just said in the chat there. Errol, who's one of our members, Errol Gardner, shout out. But I think that they've. I think there's massive frustration there. They've definitely missed out on a couple of key targets. They've definitely not been able to move players on that they want to move on, and they're basically in lockdown at the moment. I mean, I was thinking about this. We did more transfer activity in February, and the transfer window wasn't even bloody open then. We're doing nothing for 4 weeks. We've done nothing, absolutely nothing. It may as well be. You know, people say may as well be Stoke. It may as well be November. There may as well not be a transfer window because we're not actually doing anything in it at the moment. So I think there will be huge frustration there. Talking about one player that they are talking about quite a lot in relation to the transfer window, even though I can't remember when we announced that we were signing him. Diego Leon. Chris Wheeler in the Mail is saying that Diego Leon will likely start his career at Manchester United in the under-21s so he can adjust to life in a new country. It's hoped he will compete long-term with the likes of Dorgu and Amas for the left wing-back position, although there is the option to send him out on loan, as they did with Pellistri shortly after signing him. I said this before. I think with Leon, you buy a player and people want them to be the next, Paolo Maldini, left back. And he's saying the right things. I saw the interview this week, but the honest answer is none of us have been watching him at all. I bet hardly any of us have. I haven't watched him play 90 minutes. I haven't got a bloody clue. He could be amazing. He could be shit. He could be a flop. He could be a hit. He might not be. He might take 3 years to get near the first team. He might take 3 weeks. We don't know. We don't know, and that is fine. Because that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a player that's going to go into the under-21s and maybe go out on loan and might be in the first team at some point in the future. I think some people are thinking he's coming straight into the first team and he's going to compete with Dorgu. And that'll be great. That'll be absolutely great. But I'm not expecting that. I'll take it as a bonus if that's what actually happens, because I'm not convinced that that is the plan for United at the end of the day. But look, hopefully he'll be a fantastic player, really. Barcelona fans are in absolute meltdown about Nico Williams. I'm just looking there. Somebody said something about Rasmus into Bomber. No, there's nothing like that at the moment at all. So yeah, look, I hope Leon ends up being a good player for United, but I think we might need a little bit of patience there. Ashworth knew this would happen, says Keel Robinson. Keel, have you got a picture of Dan Ashworth in Speedos on your wall? He's shit, mate. Dan Ashworth Stop trying to make out. You're the only person on the planet that laments about Dan Ashworth. And you do it every bloody morning show. Every morning show, Ashworth knew this. Ashworth's crap, mate. He's absolutely crap. We never should have appointed... The thing about Ashworth is, we never should have appointed him. Nobody regrets Dan Ashworth getting the sack. This is the guy that wanted Gareth Southgate. Gary Neville admitted it. Get over it, Keel. You're never going to get Ashworth back or anything like that. Nobody regrets Ashworth getting the sack. No progress for Gyökeres from any club is mad. See, Sesko News gone quiet, static as we are on the pitch. I've got an update on Gyökeres, Jack. I'll talk about that in a moment. Zach Clark says, I really like Ruben, but he's being set up to fail. If we get the man what he wants, I see us being top 6, but without, we'd be lucky for top 10, says Zach. Somebody said last night, somebody said this last night on in the comment section. Well, they did it in 2 parts. They said 2 questions. 1, does anybody trust INEOS and the Glazers? And I think we'd all say no to that, wouldn't we? So if you don't trust them, question 2, would you put it past United to basically set Amorim up for the sack? I.e., they've realised that it's going to cost them close to $1 billion to build a team for Amorim. Whereas to sack him, it'll cost under 100. Has anybody started thinking that? Because Wilcox isn't bringing in the 3-4-3 in the youth setup. And Cunha and Mbeumo also would work in a 4-3-3. So what players have we actually brought in that suit an Amorim system perfectly? What player can you say is a definitive 3-4-3 Amorim player? Because we were told by sporting fans, you've got to bring in these very specific players that suit this system. And I don't necessarily think we have. Bruno's not a midfielder. We haven't seen enough of Agate yet to see whether he can play that double pivot. Obviously, the centre-backs work well. Goalkeeper, forget about it. Wing-backs, still a work in progress. Cunha as a number 10 will work, but Cunha would work as a number 10 in a 4-3-3. And Mbeumo works more in a 4-3-3 from what we've seen. So, look, it's a conspiracy. I don't agree with it, but I do agree that you need to spend $500 million to $1 billion on Amorim to build a team for him. And as we've seen with INEOS, Ashworth's the best in the world. 6 months later, he's sacked. So, as Gaz says, it's cynical, Mark, but possible. Wasn't mine. Nicked it from the show last night. 15 hours, 15 minutes till it all starts up again, says Robert McCormack. INEOS came in with the marginal gains as part of their sporting directive, yet the largest gain is by getting players in early and for pre-season, and here we are doing the same as always, says Patrick. We could get a here we go and they wheel him out. I've done that one from Nick P as well. Never mind Amorim set up to fail. It feels like they set Sir Jim up for the same fate. All feels like the Glazers are just buying time, says Nick P. Thank you very much. Just going back to the striker situation. Yeah. Some Spanish report basically saying that Osimhen has chosen Manchester United, but Manchester United can't afford him. I mean, look, well, welcome to the transfer window. 1, I don't think Osimhen's chosen Manchester United, and 2, that would be just typical that Osimhen has chosen Man United, and Man United go, no, we can't afford you. But I need to read this out. This is a message that came in from Stephen. He said, on last night's show, you spoke about Gyökeres' article, which you said you'd missed from 9 hours before, about developments around Gyökeres and Arsenal. You said that you were not worried about it because it just felt like regurgitation. However, if you take a look at the betting odds on Gyökeres, Arsenal have halved in price from 4 to 6 to 1 to 3, and United have tripled in price from 6 to 4 to 7-2. And then with some bookmakers, Liverpool are actually now better odds than Manchester United. So I had a quick look at this. We have drifted. We are now 4 to 1 to sign Gyökeres. At times we were odds on. Liverpool are about 6 to 1, which has come in a lot. Arsenal are massively odds on now to sign Gyökeres. I don't know whether there's anything in that. I don't know, but it's not always a definitive on that. But obviously there's a lot of people out there who are the betting markets are moving in the favour of Arsenal for Gyökeres, as they have been for a couple of weeks now, but ours are drifting again. What would you say in relation to the Hotometer, says Ladios? We haven't done it in a while. It's not been the best summer for the Hotometer, to be fair, has it? But no, we haven't done it for a while. And I think that if I put it up on the screen for you now, I should be able to do it. It will be there somewhere. Oh, it's not there. It's gone on holiday. It says, bloody hell, the Hotometer's got the, you know when you go on holiday and you put your email reminder on? It says, gone on holiday, transfer window's shit, I'll be back on September the 2nd. Can't put the Hotometer up. No, I can. Here we go. Here it is. So, yeah, I mean, look, 9.9 Mbeumo, yes. Emi Martinez. I mean, look, beyond the thing is, beyond, I wouldn't change that, because beyond Mbeumo, I haven't got a bloody clue. We're not talking to anybody else. So, I think that would be about right still. Fairway 5 says, these transfers are taking longer than an Oasis reunion. Mbeumo to United, definitely, maybe. Look, look at what happened this morning with Nico Williams signing a new contract at Bilbao, completely out of the blue. Look at last night, £55 million bid for Elanga from Newcastle, completely out of the blue. These things can happen very, very quickly. And at some point, I don't know when, we are going to go, oh my God, third bid's gone in, Mbeumo to United, here we go. And it will happen. It could happen on a Saturday night. I remember Donny van der Beek happening on a Saturday night. So it could happen at any time. But I think that I'm almost at that point now where I'm looking at it and I'm going, you know what? It's not even about Mbeumo now. And this has happened so many times before. It's now about what's coming in next, and it seems very, very quiet in that sense at the moment. Just to give you, this is an update. Feyenoord's Igo Pahau has emerged as one of the 5 most comparable players to Mbeumo. Valued at 34 million, he impressed with 18 goals and 19 assists. That's from the Manchester Evening News. Yeah, I mean, I'm not interested. You know, why don't you link us to Semenyo again? Because that was never happening either. We know what we want and we know what we're doing, and I think that's where we are on that. Bit of news to bring you on Anthony. So this came in from the actual. I think this is the CEO of President Angel Haro. He says, in relation to Anthony, we're talking to the player because coming to Betis entails a considerable reduction in salary because we have to maintain our financial discipline and we don't want to break it. He's a fantastic player. He's given a lot in the last 6 months, but we have to get everything right and we can't go crazy. We're working on that pathway because it's not easy. We're very imaginative when it comes to approaching this type of transaction, but it's complex. It involves the player who loves Betis, but he also has to consider his own interests. We'll have to see if he comes. He's no longer here. We're working on that path. It won't be easy. Manchester United paid a significant amount and he has 2 years left on his contract. So, look, honestly, I'm relatively relaxed when it comes to Anthony because I think you've got a fantastic club in Betis who communicate with their fans. I mean, that's the president. I mean, imagine how refreshing it would be to have a CEO or a sporting director or a president who actually communicated with you. I mean, this is Real Betis, for God's sake. It's not Real Madrid. This is Real Betis talking to their fans about what they're trying to do. United, But Anthony is going to have to take a pay cut. They're going to have to find a way to pay us. But they really, really want him. So I'm quite relaxed about that because we've actually got a club that really, really wants him and he really wants to go there. So, look, I think Anthony will happen, but when it will happen, I don't know. Anthony is the least of our concerns because we're not actually making money off Anthony anyway. We're just stopping ourselves from losing money. Can we do a shitometer for our owners and directors rating by how crap they are at their jobs, says Paul O'Brien. Is there a chance we will only sign Cunha, says Ahmad? No. I think we will get more than that, certainly. Jim cold feet for Ruben not seeing Spurs off, says MMA Takedown. Look, I think that INEOS have to stick with Amorim. They've made a big call going for him, but I wouldn't trust them. If I was advising Ruben Amorim, I would say I would not trust these people at all. Look at what they did to Dan Ashworth. Look at what they did to Ten Hag. In a very short period of time, it went from we're backing Ten Hag and giving him £300 million. 2 months later, you're sacked. With Dan Ashworth, best in class, one of the best director of footballs in the world, within 2 months, he's sacked. So I would... Look, they've only been here 12 months, and they've basically publicly backed two people and then sacked them in the space of a couple of months. So I would not trust them if I was Ruben Amorim. And I think he needs to get a little bit vocal again about what he needs. He can't come back this season like Ten Hag did in season 2 and stop saying what he thinks, because he's a dead man walking then. He's got to still be vocal about the problems at Manchester United. Richard says, when does Amorim's contract expire? 2 years. 2 years. He's got 2 years. So basically he's got a year, because you won't let anybody go into your last year. Yeah, 2 years. United should focus on getting a ball-playing defensive midfielder, then a striker. Bruno has no role in the midfield, and if he doesn't trust Ugarte, we need one more, says Tilak. That's yours. That's your interpretation, and I actually agree with it. But, you know, talking about Amorim, you're wrong. Because Ruben Amorim could have took £100 million for Bruno and has decided that Bruno is a ball-playing defensive midfielder. So that's one decision that you have to consider. According to Corriere dello Sport, says Jakey, Juventus have offered Douglas Luiz in a swap deal for Sancho, and Manchester United are considering it. Look, if there's a way to do a swap deal that means Douglas Luiz comes to Manchester United and Jadon Sancho goes to Juventus, yes, please. But I also read this morning that the Juventus position has not changed. This is from Fabrizio Romano. They cannot cover Jadon Sancho's salary. So if there's no change in salary expectations, it will be difficult. So again, another club talks to Sancho and realises they can't afford his wages. I also read that Juventus are looking for £35 million for Douglas Luiz. So I don't know why we're being linked to Douglas Luiz unless there actually is a swap deal that we can do. There we go. What's all this... People are talking about that. Remember Gerard Romero? He's like a Barcelona streamer, journalist. He was the guy who told us that we were getting De Jong. He was the guy that kicked off the whole De Jong summer. So apparently, according to @Amorim Era, Gerard Romero said that Nico Williams to Barcelona was 99.9% done. Yeah, been there, mate. I remember that with Sancho, but that was 90%, not 99.9%. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you're tuning in a little bit later, Rashford, Barcelona could have opened up big time because Nico Williams is staying at Bilbao and Diaz is staying at Liverpool. So we know Rashford was on the list. We know he's desperate to go there. And as I said, look, as bad as things have been this season, this summer transfer window for Man United, as bad as things have been, we could get a little bit of luck. Alvaro Fernandez, Anthony Elanga, and now Marcus Rashford. We could get a little bit of luck in this transfer window because we bloody well need it. We haven't got competent negotiators, so luck could be our best director of football this season, to be fair. Yeah, Amorim's on his way back to Manchester. There's a report coming in here. I can't remember who it's. Andre Hernan. It's got 370,000 followers. Does work for Canal and Amazon Prime, apparently. He says that Man United have once again shown interest in signing Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor and have renewed talks about the player. A United representative was present at Botafogo's game against Palmeiras. Literally only seen John Victor play one game, and he looked very impressive in the game against Palmeiras. Certainly better shot stopper than Onana, and better in the air than Onana, but I don't know whether that's the type of goalkeeper we will go to be honest with you. Ashworth sack reasonable, ever revealed? It's Jack. No way that the goalkeeper's that high on Hotometer. I mean, this is old. We just haven't updated it. Someone said, can we have a look at it? I haven't updated it. I would definitely change Martinez and Costa now. I'd take them down to 2 and 1. I think Gyökeres I would still keep as a 5, 50-50. Mateta I'd take down to a 1. Ekitike I'd take down to a non. It needs updating. The scary thing about the Hotometer is at the moment, and the reason I haven't updated it, is because the Hotometer has always been 7, the top 7 players that we're likely to sign. And there's been so many times over the years that it's hard to get everybody in because you can only put 7 in. Honestly now, I agree with Mark Foster, we're a laughingstock. I wouldn't be able to fill that Hotometer. Beyond Mbeumo and Gyökeres, I don't think there's anybody worth giving a score to at the moment. I don't know anybody that we can put in there that's higher than a 1 at the moment. We're not buying a goalkeeper. We're not buying a midfielder. It's just really difficult. I know who I would put in there, but I don't. But that's just what I think in relation to what Man United are actually doing right here, right now. It would be very difficult. Is it on Amorim to not sell Bruno? Club should have shown authority, knowing they're broke and can't sell. We know he didn't say keep Bruno and don't buy anyone, says Nishant. Well, I think this is always a very interesting thing, and I'd love to know your answer to this. So, a couple of years ago, David De Gea won the Golden Glove, one of the most experienced players in the dressing room, one of the most professional players in the dressing room, one of the most liked players in the dressing room, and one of the best shot-stop goalkeepers in Europe, if not the world. Ten Hag says, when a contract's been agreed with him, Ten Hag says, get rid of him. Remove the contract. I want to get Onana. And the club go, yeah, let's do that. Should that have happened? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. 2 years later, Al-Hilal come in for Bruno and say, there's 100 million quid. The club and Amorim say no. If it's just Amorim saying no, should the club have been a little bit more forthright? But as we understand it, the club said no. So I don't mind if the club and Amorim agree together, which is what happened. But when you look at what happened with De Gea, the club and Ten Hag agreed, and we all said this is where you need a director of football that knows what they're on about, because only an idiot would say yes to letting De Gea walk out the door for nothing and spending £50 million on Onana. A proper, intelligent director of football would have said, we're not doing that. But this is the problem at United. Yet again, the club and Amorim agreed not to sell Bruno. But have we got the right board? I understand why Amorim wants to keep him, but have we got the right board to go, mate, it's £100 million. He's not a midfielder. We could buy half a team with that. And I think this is always the problem at United. Have we got the right people to say no to managers? Sorry, Ashworth sacking reason never revealed, says Jack. No, other than I think they thought he was shit. Slazy says, do you think Amorim can fix the inconsistency in the players' performances on the pitch? That's perhaps just as important as getting new players in. Do you think Amorim can fix the inconsistency in the players' performance on the pitch? That's just no, I don't think he can, for 2 reasons. One, I don't think some of these players are good enough to play the system that he wants to play. And 2, I think some of these players are just inconsistent by definition. And I don't think you can change that. He might be able to mould it with some of the younger players, but the vast majority of that team isn't young, it's older. And I think they are, look at Ashley Young. Ashley Young on his day, very good. When he was at United and used to play on the wing, he'd probably get 5 games a season where he looked absolutely world class, and the rest of them, he was either average or ass. So some players are just consistent. You look at Liverpool, you look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, they've got a squad of consistent players. You look at somebody like a Fulham, on their day, they can be beaten by anyone. On their day, they can beat anyone. So irrelevant consistency. United have got a level of inconsistency. And it's just life. You go to work, there's probably someone in your office or workplace who, when they're on it, they're brilliant. But a lot of the time, they're distracted, they're not working, they're not on it, okay? You've got other people who go into work every day and they're brilliant. And you've got other people who go into work every day and are shit. And you think, how the fucking hell have they been promoted to my boss? So it's just the way it goes. Not sure if you remember Goldbridge. I said a month or so ago that this is the reason I think he was given a short contract, because it's easier to get rid of him if he fails, easier to get rid, says Zane. Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I don't think a 2.5-year contract was anywhere near long enough for a guy that was coming in to rebuild a football club in the biggest way in my history as a Man United fan. I mean, I know football was very different when we went from Ron Atkinson to Sir Alex Ferguson, but everybody played a back four. Everyone played a 4-4-2. We're changing our entire tapestry of formation and style, and they gave him a 2.5-year contract, which is basically an 18-month contract, because they won't give him £400 million next summer and let him go into his last year of his contract. So it's a great point. He's got 12 months. He's got 2 years left on his contract, but he's got 1 really. No one goes into their final year of a contract, and nobody spends money on that manager either. So he's got this is when you think about it, this is his only summer transfer window. If it goes wrong, he won't get another one. Makes it even worse, doesn't it? Morning all. Did we really sell Xerxes to Napoli? No. No. Not unless we've all completely missed it. When will your next Club World Cup watch along? Oh God, don't depress me, mate. I'm already fed up with United. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. I might do Bayern Munich. I mean, I've got no interest in it. I mean, it's nearly over now. I'm trying to ignore it for as long as possible. There's a game tonight at 8 o'clock between Fluminense and Al-Hilal. Not a chance am I watching that. 2 o'clock in the morning, Palmeiras, Chelsea. No, not watching that. PSG against Bayern Munich at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I might watch that, actually. I might do that tomorrow at 5 o'clock, because I just think it'd be a good game. Real Madrid against Dortmund. Nah, not on a Saturday night. What would the semi-finals be? I don't know. I think I'll watch PSG Bayern. I'll do that as a watch-along tomorrow, and that's football, yeah. The good clubs can drop inconsistent players because they have options and make them work hard to get back in. If we did that, we'd go from bad to worse, says Joe. Look, controversial. Our best player is inconsistent. Bruno Fernandes is inconsistent. People will point about the numbers, but the great thing about Bruno is he can have a bad game and he'll provide an assist or he'll score a goal. But his actual performance is inconsistent. I've seen Bruno have loads of bad games but still get a couple of assists. Our very best player is inconsistent. And I'd argue that with anybody. Bruno is not a player that gives you 7 out of 10 every week. Our most consistent performer is probably Mazraoui. I think Mazraoui puts in the most consistent performance week in, week out. He doesn't do many 8s, but he does a lot of 7s. So, yeah, our best player is inconsistent. And it's a fact. We do the player ratings after every game, and for the last 2 years, I think Bruno's averaged below a 6, which is incredible, really. He contributes amazingly, Bruno. Absolutely brilliant contributions, but performance very rarely gets higher than a 7. Mark, just wanted to say thank you and the team for keeping up the shows during a dead first month of the window. Can imagine it's hard to stay motivated, says Perry. I need it. I need it. You know, I think every day I'm just so locked in on Man United and football. If I didn't have these moments where I can just sit and talk to people who feel the same, it would be very, very difficult. Let me have a quick look. I've missed the super chat apparently. I just don't want to do that. Nishant. Any upcoming career mode streams to look out for, says Ross. I might do it at 3 o'clock today. Not promising it, but I might do it today. The trouble is I haven't played for 2 weeks and I'm on the verge of the sack, so it might be a risk to do that, but I might do it at 3 o'clock today. If not, definitely next week. There we go. Okay, absolute legends. Really enjoyed the show this morning. Nice to get some decent news as well. The funny thing is, people say, so no news then. And I've figured it out now. When people start saying, oh, waste of time, no news, and you sometimes feel a bit deflated because you go, I've literally spoken about 6 news stories. And what the people who say no news is, I'll read your super chat now, Marcus. What people mean by no news is no news about what they want. So we've spoken about Leon, we spoke about Rashford and Barcelona, we spoke about Anthony, we spoke about the Gyökeres thing. These are all news stories. But when people are saying no news and moaning, it's because they're not getting the news they want. And the news they want is we're signing a striker or a goalkeeper. I understand that. Joe Fearon, welcome to Members Club. So Marcus Laird said, if they were good at their job, they would realise that we got the 5 million that Brentford want from having Barca go 50-50 on Rashford's wages. Mate, I'll leave you with this on Mbeumo. They wanted 60 million at the start of June. They still want 60 million on the 4th of July. The reality is United think they're being ripped off, but they paid more than that for Cunha, who plays in the same position, and Newcastle have just bought Alanga for the same price, and we're going to make 5 million from it. So take the 5 million we're going to make from Alanga, add it to the 55 you've offered Brentford, and you've basically paid nothing. Because Alanga, you had no idea was leaving Forest. It's a bonus 5 million that you can put on top of the 55 and there's your 60. What are we negotiating for? We've literally got the 5 million to go from 55 to 60 from Alanga going, which wasn't expected. And we're still negotiating. It's madness. Absolute madness. Take care, everyone. July will be only Mbeumo and PR. Your thoughts, says Aki. Oh, I don't think we're signing anybody else in July. Absolutely not. No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be right on this. But I said to you 2 weeks ago, we won't have a striker for the pre-season tour. And loads of people going, oh, stop being a fearmonger and all this. We won't have a striker signed for the US tour. Said it 2 weeks ago. Absolutely no chance. Absolutely none. Thanks, everyone. We're back at 2 and 8 o'clock, of course. I've got a video going up at That's Football in a little bit as well. Stay safe, take care, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.